Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be about confusion with keto. So what I've been hearing a lot is people's concerns and questions and confusion over how to start the keto diet. Why isn't the keto diet working? What are macros? What foods am I supposed to eat? What fats am I supposed to eat? I'm getting ready to start this. What kind of food should I buy at the grocery store? What's a carbohydrate? What's a sugar? What's a fake sugar? So today I'm going to try to address all of that in one video. Okay, so why would somebody want to listen to me versus somebody else? Well, let me tell you why. Back in high school over 30 years ago, I used to be a captain of my football team and my wrestling team. So I was in pretty good shape at the time. And then upon graduating with a degree in drafting and design, I decided I was going to go ahead and serve my country, and I decided to go into the United States Marine Corps. Now, when I got into the Marine Corps, I raised rank pretty quickly. I got Most Physically Fit Marine Award at one time. I was then in charge of a group of guys that I still think about all the time, and my heart still goes out to a lot of them. Things don't always work out the way you want. So, injuries accumulated while I was in the Corps and in life. And life doesn't always go according to plan. Some of the injuries started to mount up being in the Marine Corps Infantry. I ended up with a broken back at one point, 2 hyperextended elbows, a crushed right hand, blown left eardrum. The injuries just mounted up throughout my Marine Corps life and throughout my life. But the worst injury of all was when I crushed my left foot in an accident. It was just a very bad night, and my foot was just totally destroyed. Well, they tried to fix it over and over again, and numerous operations, but eventually the foot got to a point where it had to be amputated. That changed everything. I ended up getting depressed. I ended up letting my weight get out of control. And I didn't know what to do about it. So, like most people, I decided, well, I'm going to try this diet, I'm going to try that diet, I'm going to try anything I can. And I'm also going to start going to the gym. Now, at that point, I did love going to the gym, and I still do. I still like the gym. But I thought that if I just exercised really hard, and I ate, what I thought was to be clean, that I would eventually lose all the weight and I would be back to normal. Well, the standard American diet, which requires us probably 6 to 8 servings of carbs a day, and sugar wasn't even considered an issue then. Weight just didn't want to seem to come off then. No matter how much I exercised, no matter how much I struggled, no matter how much I pushed it. And eventually I even became a personal trainer because I liked fitness so much. Now I ended up training men, women, kids, teens, professional athletes from football, basketball, including hockey, including baseball. So I got to know my knowledge of how to work out and how to exercise really well in order to help even, as high up as a professional athlete, do better in his career. Now, the problem I ran into with being a personal trainer is that I started to feel all those aches and pains from all those injuries. My age started coming up, and I was thinking, I might have to find something with a better financial future to it, some sort of retirement. So what I ended up doing was becoming a state corrections officer. And that's what I am today. Now, here's the other thing. I work third shift. I work all night, from 10 at night to 6 in the morning. So now, why you should listen to me over some of the other videos that are out there. For one, I was fit and got really fat, and then I lost a lot of weight on the keto diet, and I believe in it. 2, I have one leg, so it really limits me to what I can and can't do. And 3, I work the third shift, which a lot of people think is just an impossible way to actually control your diet and your eating habits. So with all these obstacles, I still proved that the keto diet can actually work and work well. Now, I'm not 100% at my goal yet. I'm not like one of those guys that is comfortable with taking his shirt off and doing his videos without his shirt on, which I guess that brings in more viewers, which gets them more likes, gets them more attention, something like that. But all I could do right now is just give you the information that I've learned, that I've experienced, that I've studied and tried and failed and accomplished over the years. Okay, so let me go ahead and now tell you why the ketogenic diet is not as confusing as you think it is. One of the things I hear the most is about calories. How many calories should I eat? How many calories should I burn? Is calories in and calories out the right way to be thinking? Not on the ketogenic diet, because a calorie isn't always just a calorie. Like a calorie of sugar isn't the same as a calorie from a piece of broccoli. And on the ketogenic diet, you're not really concerned so much with your caloric intake, because your body will naturally control the amount of calories that it needs. Because when you're eating carbohydrates, your body actually doesn't really figure out when you're full. It's all about the lipid theory and how a lipid can't reach the brain because carbohydrates don't allow that, and then the brain never knows when to stop eating, so you continue to eat your carbs, you keep continuing to eat more pizza, you keep continuing to eat more cereal, more rice, more potatoes, stuff like that, more sugar. So what happens is when you start eating more fats, the fats will actually control what you're eating and your appetite will suppress. That's a great thing on the ketogenic diet. That's why the ketogenic diet is probably by far the best diet to lose weight on. And if you're eating carbs and what you have to do is actually stop yourself from eating too much, even though you're hungry, that's never a good thing. Have you ever seen somebody that's what they call hangry? It's scary, okay? When you're on a diet and you're trying to control your eating and you're leaving the table when you're still hungry, that's ugh. I don't want to be around somebody like that, and neither should you. Now, how does that happen? By your body going into ketosis. And what exactly is ketosis? Ketosis is when your body utilizes your own body fat to break it down and in the liver and turn it into what's called ketones. And ketones then become your energy as opposed to the glycogen that your body would normally like to have, which is made from the carbohydrates and the sugars that you were eating. So how do you get into ketosis? Okay, it's this simple. All you do is you stop eating those carbohydrates, your complex carbohydrates that are actually bad for you, which are like your peas, your beans, your grains, stuff like that, and start eating more of the complex carbohydrates like your leafy green vegetables, like your crunchy green vegetables. And I'll give lists and examples here later. But those are some of the things you want to cut out. And stop eating sugar. Sugar is going to knock you out of ketosis every time. Sugar is probably the main reason people actually put on fat. A lot of people are in that mindset. They think, man, if you eat fat, you're just going to get fat. And that's not how it works. When you eat sugar is when you get fat, okay? Sugar is the cause of obesity. Sugar is what makes you fat. It's that simple. So when somebody tells you, geez, are you eating all that fat? Aren't you afraid of getting fat or clogging your arteries? What's really doing that is sugar. And tell them that. Actually, show them. Okay, so there's a couple of ways to get rid of that glycogen out of your body. And that's either to wait 4 or 5 days, which would probably put you into what's called the keto flu. And the keto flu it's not like the regular flu. It does give you nausea, it will give you some headaches and some stomach pains, and it might make you, visit the restroom a little more often. But it is bearable. I've been through it a few times. You could actually handle this. This isn't a hard thing. But that's your body's way of getting rid of all that glycogen and your addiction to those carbohydrates and the sugars. Another way to get rid of all that glycogen is to work out. Now, it's a little harder to work out on the ketogenic diet in the beginning because your body hasn't really adapted to using ketones as energy, and it's still trying to use all your carbs and sugars and trying to use that as its source of energy, which is what it's been doing for all this time. And you need to break that cycle, break that chain. and it's not going to give you a lot of energy to do that. So the best thing to do, I found, to getting rid of a lot of that glycogen that you have stored is to actually do cardio exercise on a fasting stomach. Okay, so go into the gym maybe the first when you wake up. That's probably the best way, I think, to get rid of that glycogen storage, and it will help you get into ketosis faster. Now, another way to help alleviate some of that keto flu symptoms is to make sure you're taking in a little more sodium than you were. Make sure you're supplementing magnesium. Make sure you're supplementing potassium. Now, if you need to know more about those, I did a supplements video just a while back. Go ahead and reference to that after you've watched this one. Because on the keto diet, the first initial weight loss is going to be a lot of that water weight. Because when you lose those carbohydrates and those sugars that are in your body, they actually hold, each gram of those holds on to about 3.7 grams of water. And with that water comes a lot of the minerals and your electrolytes. So you're going to have to really replenish them. You're going to have to drink a lot of extra water, and you're going to have to get those electrolytes in, which is that, again, it's that sodium, magnesium, and potassium, and maybe even throw some calcium in there. And what other vitamins you want to do, like your fish oils and your apple cider vinegars and whatever else is out there that you like to take as a supplement that you think is going to help you and keep you in a very happy ketogenic lifestyle. The next thing I hear a lot about are macros. What are macros? Why do I need to count them? What can I do about them? Can somebody please help me? Now, macros are pretty simple. It's basically your way of calculating carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. Okay? Carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. It's that simple. Is it important to track your macros? Yes. Clearly, yes. Okay? Now, there's a couple ways of doing it. You can go onto an app, maybe like MyFitnessPal, or you could find whatever app that's out there. I'm sure there's a whole bunch of different ones out there. And in the very beginning, you really want to calculate and figure out what your caloric intake is at the time. Okay? You need to get somewhat of a calorie border. I'm not, like I'm saying before, calories aren't as important, but you don't want to go overboard, really. You want to kind of get that range where you need to be, okay? And then you are going to be cutting that caloric down as you go, but you're not going to necessarily have to worry about that as much because the ketogenic diet is actually going to help you control that on its own. So how do you know how many calories you're supposed to have a day? It's done according to this. This is called a BMR. Okay. Now the BMR is your basal metabolic rate, and that is probably more easily done through a calculator, and I'm going to supply that calculator down below. Now, when you look at that calculator, please remember to go ahead and like this video for me. I would really, really appreciate a lot of thumbs up here. So, now once you go ahead and calculate your caloric intake for the day, you're going to go ahead and set those parameters to be what the ketogenic will require. Because normally MyFitnessPal isn't just going to know that you're in the ketogenic diet and that your carbohydrates need to be at this number or percentage and your proteins need to be at this one or your fats need to be at this one. Because what the MyFitnessPal or some of those other ones that are already out there, they're going to try to go with the normal standard American diet, and they're going to keep your fats low, they're going to keep your proteins at a medium to high, and they're going to keep your carbohydrates at a medium to high. So you're going to go in there and you're going to put it down just like this. 75 grams of fat, 20 grams of protein, and 5 carbohydrates. Another easy way to look at it is that I suggest that you keep your protein grams under 100. You keep your carbohydrate grams under 20. That's net grams, because the way you figure out net is pretty simple too. You take the total amount of carbohydrates minus the amount of fiber, and that's your net, okay? And you need that net to be under 20, okay? Now, and then the rest will all come in with fats. Okay, what foods do I eat? Well, it's going to be more simple like this. what foods don't you eat. And the first one that you're going to really not eat, that you really probably are going to miss, is fruits. Okay? Fruits have a very high sugar, and I know I've heard people say, but it's fructose, but it's just fruit sugar, it's more natural. That's true, it is. It is natural, but it's still going to affect you the same way that regular sugar is going to affect you. It's still going to spike that blood sugar. It's still going to cause the pancreas in your body to release insulin, which then that insulin causes fat storage. So every time you spike your blood sugar, whether it's with a sugar, whether it's with a carb that's really high in sugar, whether it's with some fruit that's high in sugar, anything that really you figure out spikes your blood sugar, that means you're actually storing fat. And that's what you want to avoid on the ketogenic diet, is spiking that blood sugar. Okay, so we know the fruits are out. What's next? Well, vegetables that grow underground, rooted vegetables. Examples like beets, turnips, carrots, stuff like that. The reason being is that most plants store their sugar in the root system. And that's what you want to avoid. You want to avoid those kinds of vegetables. Okay, now we've come to the ultimate avoidance macro, which is simple carbohydrates and some of your complex carbohydrates. Okay? Now, the simple carbohydrates are easy because those are made up of all your sweets, your sugars, a lot of your baked goods, a lot of the bad stuff that you know is bad. You know that eating a donut is probably not going to help you lose weight. Okay, on to the carbs. Now you're going to have your complex carbohydrates and your simple carbohydrates. Okay? Now, the difference between the two is that they both have sugar in them to a point, and they both have, so that helps with the amount of carbohydrates that they have. So in the complex carbohydrates, you're going to see things that you want to kind of just take it real, kind of not go all in on them, and that's going to be like your peas, your beans, stuff like that, because some of those things are still going to maybe possibly spike your blood sugar, and you're just going to want to have to check your ketones and make sure that it's actually helping you stay in ketosis while eating those things or not. If they're not, avoid them, don't eat them. Okay? It's that simple. Now, with your simple carbohydrates, it's easy because those are donuts, those are sweets, those are candies. Those are things you know you're not supposed to eat. You know you wouldn't eat it in any other diet out there. So those I don't even have to list. In the very beginning, people have a lot of questions on what about dairy products? What about cheeses? What about nuts? Okay, in the beginning, don't eat them, because here's the reason. It's not because they're not keto, it's because a very small amount of them can really add up to a lot of calories, a lot of wasted calories, because when you're eating them, you're going to get some good fats in it, and you're going to get some proteins with some of them, but it's not going to really fill you up. You're not going to get that filled up feeling when you do with some of your other things. So you want to avoid those nuts and those cheeses and things like that for now, until you can actually get control of your diet. So what does that leave you with? Well, it leaves you with a lot, believe it or not. It leaves you with a lot of different leafy greens, a lot of crunchy green vegetables. It leaves you with a lot of different meats, like your red meats, like here. It leaves you with a lot of seafoods, like these. It's going to leave you with a lot of poultry and fowl, like duck, turkey, like chicken. Okay? All of these things are going to taste so much better because they're not just stripped down and all the fat's taken out of them. Because as we all know, the fat is actually what makes our food taste better. Because when they started taking the fat out of foods and coming up with that no-fat diet and all that no-fat foods that are out there, they had to make them taste better by adding in more sugar. So the more they added the sugar in, the more weight we tended to gain and the fatter we got. So the American Nutrition Association, or wherever the heck they are, they were just dumbfounded. Well, we took all the fat out. How come everybody is getting more obese? And how come heart disease is on the incline? And how come diabetes is getting out of control? It's because of the sugar. It all comes back to the sugar. That's why the ketogenic diet is key to losing weight. Because once you eliminate that sugar and all those starchy vegetables and all that sugar hidden in fruits and hidden in rooted vegetables, you're going to get such an awakening in your body where all that inflammation that sugar was causing in your body, inflammation that does cause a lot of diseases. It's going to cause diseases like Alzheimer's, dementia, cancer, epilepsy, all these other little things that are caused by inflammation, your high blood pressure, obesity. It's just, they're going to start going away because the body isn't filled with all that toxic sugar anymore. Okay, on to fats. All right, now what fats can you eat? That's up to you. But mostly you want to stick with stuff like this. You want to stick with your coconut oil, your avocado oils, your MCT oils. Now your MCT oil, I made a video on just for that because MCT oil comes in what's known as C8, C10, C12. C12 is really a long chain fatty acid, where C8 and C10 are your short chain fatty acids. And the reason and benefit of those over the C12 fatty acid is that the C8 and the C10 don't have to go through your liver. They go straight into your bloodstream for ketones and they give you that energy. Whereas the C12, which a lot of the other oils, like coconut oil, has about 15% of MCT oil. So that's why an MCT oil is a little bit better than your coconut oil, okay? That when those C12s have to go through your liver, there's a potential that they can turn into fat. Also, you want to look into using animal fats from, say, uncured meats, from grass-fed animal meats. Don't just throw away that oil and that grease. Save it. Use it to cook your eggs in the next day, or use it to put into your coffee or something like that. It sounds disgusting right now, but when you start to utilize this stuff, you're going to see the big difference. And that really puts me on to bulletproof coffee. People are always like, what is bulletproof coffee? Now, I made a video on that as well, and bulletproof coffee is just this. It's 2 cups of coffee, it's two tablespoons of MCT oil, and 2 tables of Kerrygold grass-fed butter. Now, the reason I like Kerrygold grass-fed butter is that it's from grass-fed cows, not from cows that have steroids and other additives into their system that eventually get into their milk, because that's where all the crap and fat junk that's not good goes into. It goes into their fat, which then goes into their milk, and then we consume it, and then we end up getting fat. Okay, so that's why it's important to have grass-fed meats or grass-fed butters. It's worth the extra money. So you buy that stuff, you put all those ingredients in a blender, and you blend it up, and it will taste phenomenal. It will actually be creamier, it'll taste better, and it's healthier for you. And it's an easy way for you to get your fats in without having to worry about what carbohydrates are attached to it or what kind of proteins are attached to it. Okay, the ketogenic diet is not one of those diets that you could just say, well, I'll try it out for a week or two. Because the first week you are going to lose that weight. And you're going to think, oh, I already lost all my weight. I can go back to doing what I was doing. No. That weight that you just lost in that first week, like I said before, is water weight. It's just water weight. It won't come back as long as you stay on the ketogenic diet, because the ketogenic diet doesn't allow you to hold all those carbohydrates and sugars and store all that extra water, so that water won't come back as long as you're on a ketogenic diet. But once you go back to eating carbohydrates, it's all going to come back. It just comes back. The ketogenic diet is not one of those diets that you can just do for a week or two. It's one of those diets that you're going to have to do for probably a good 6 weeks to really see the benefits of it. Because your body is going to want to stay addicted to those carbohydrates, to those sugars. It's going to take a little while for your body to get off of them. Okay, now, one of the benefits of being in ketosis for a long period of time is that eventually you'll get into what's known as fat adapted. Okay, being fat adapted means that it's easier for your body to then get back in ketosis if you were ever to get knocked out of ketosis. Okay. The goal for the ketogenic diet is this: get yourself fat adapted, because getting yourself fat adapted is going to bring down your cravings, bring down the thoughts of food in your head. It's going to bring down your appetite by a lot. It's going to make it so that if you do screw up a little bit, it's not as detrimental as if you did when you were in the beginning. When you're in the beginning, ketosis is a little harder to get back into. It could take up to 3 or 4 days. That's why you don't have a cheat meal in the first couple of weeks, because if you have that cheat meal, it's going to knock you out of ketosis usually, and then it's going to take you a couple days to get back into it, and then you might have another cheat meal. It's going to knock you back out of it. So a lot of times you're spending more time out of ketosis than you are in ketosis. So after a few weeks, you will get fat adapted. It's just the way the body will then say, okay, I've given up. I'm no longer going to be dependent on those carbohydrates and those sugars that you were giving me, and I'm going to go ahead and start using ketones and all that fat that you're giving me, and I'm going to start utilizing your body fat because now you're eating less, but I still need all that extra energy. That's how the ketogenic diet will work. When you are still performing the way you wanted to perform, when you're still utilizing all that extra energy and stuff, the body has to come up with a way of giving you that energy. Now, when you're eating all that fat, you tend to eat less calories. It's just the way it works. And again, it's not about calories in or calories out, but kind of it is. All right? So when you are expending all that extra energy, you're going to need some sort of way of fueling that. And that's when the body starts to break down your body fat. That's when it starts you start to see a difference in your clothing. It's when you start seeing a difference in your face and your extremities, because that's where your fat loss will first start. You'll see it in the face, you'll see it in the hands, you'll see it in the feet, believe it or not. You'll see, and then it all graduates towards the center. And sadly, it's our place where we hold our fat the most, whether it's in our belly, whether it's in your butt and thighs, wherever you tend to hold your fat the most is usually the last place that fat will leave you from. Okay? There is no sort of spot reduction fat loss, so stick to the diet, keep the course, and keep doing the ketogenic diet because it's gonna work. I'm telling you, it's worked for me and it will work for you. Because if, like, you've heard this saying before, and I know you've heard this, if I can do it, anybody can do it. And honestly, with all my obstacles and all my issues, if I could still lose over 120 pounds in 9 months, I guarantee you're going to have some success with the ketogenic diet. And you're going to want to recommend your friends to the ketogenic diet. And you're going to have to know the ketogenic diet in order to explain it to them, because they're going to think you're out of your ever-loving mind. When I first told my wife, story here, I first told my wife I was going to do the ketogenic diet. There I was, over 300 and some pounds, 360 some pounds. She thought I was on a suicide mission to kill myself with a heart attack or something like that. Eating bacon in the mornings, eating fat, doing all this craziness, not following kind of the diet that she was used to, like fruits and stuff like that every day. I stopped eating fruit. I literally haven't had any fruit since, 2015, something like that, almost 3 years ago. So the ketogenic diet and everything I've explained to you, it does work. Scientifically, it works. It's been proven over and over again. There's so many companies out there, like all your vegetable oils and companies are ganging up on coconut oil trying to debunk it, but they can't, okay? So many people are trying to say, oh, you have to have carbohydrates. No, carbohydrates are not a necessity food. They're just not. You can live without carbs for the rest of your life. Now, fiber, that's the other thing. That's why you eat some of those leafy and crunchy greens, so that you can get some of the minerals that are in those greens, but a lot because of the fiber that's in there. And you don't want to get yourself constipated, which is another side effect of the ketogenic diet. Now, I know this video was long, but it was necessary. I hope that this just takes away all the confusion for you about the ketogenic diet. I hope that you could start watching some of my other videos and possibly suggest my videos to a friend of yours. Get them on the same path that you've decided to take. Help them to help themselves, okay? My diet works. I love to call it my diet because I've described this so many times. I've tweaked it here and there. And I tell people, okay, you do this and this and this and this. Now, I could get out to so many people a day. And I have. I've helped so many people. I can't even count how many people I've helped. And I still get messages all day long. People telling me, You know, what you told me worked. I'm down this, I'm down that. Hey, you know, I've decided to get my wife involved. I decided to get my husband involved, you know, and that's what I like to hear. But the problem is I can only get to so many people a day, which is why I went ahead and started this YouTube channel. And this YouTube channel can get to so many more people. I just want to get the word out, get it out to everybody that I can, so that people can see what it's like to be on the ketogenic diet. It's literally the world's best diet if you want to lose weight fast and properly. Get rid of the inflammation, get rid of the disease. It's that important out there, okay? So, thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe all videos. I appreciate it. I really, really do. The more you like my videos, the more you watch my videos, the more YouTube is going to put me higher up in their queue. The way I can get more people to watch, and we can help more people to get happier and healthier lives. Because honestly, that's what all of us are doing. So I think I'm an up-and-coming ketogenic diet kind of YouTuber, but that's left to the people, okay? I need to get more followers. I need to get more people interested in it and watching me and realizing how unique my situation is and how my situation and my knowledge and my experience can actually help you. Because I'm just like one of you. I wasn't one of these always ripped kind of guys that never struggled with his diet. I'm one of those guys that had to struggle, and I still struggle with it. I still fight with it every day. I still have body fat on me that I want to get rid of. But I'm not giving up. I know the ketogenic diet works, and I know it'll work for everybody that wants to try it. It's not one of those diets where you say, well, it's good for some people, but it's not good for others. Believe it or not, the science that's behind this diet makes it work. It's that simple. Okay, guys, I hope this was informative. I hope this clears up a lot of the confusion, and I hope to see you in the next video. Thanks, peace, love you.